John Gray. I'm here today at the Mass Conference for Women, and we were just having a really important conversation about, well, you know what, why don't I just let you go?
Well, we're talking about overcoming fear, and I was talking about years ago I used to have so much fear around media presentations, expressing myself, and what I found is that I was the one talking myself into the fear, and I needed to identify those voices. Like I would be, although I just felt anxious and kind of weak inside, really what was going on is some part of me that I wasn't conscious of was saying, John, you're not good enough, you're going to fail, you're not prepared, you know, who are you to be saying you have something important to say? So I'm giving myself those messages subconsciously to identify them and give words to them. They were now my words. Now I could own them, and then I could change them. And the amazing thing that I discovered is after I just identified, okay, what am I saying to myself? Then I would just shift into, what am I grateful for? Gratitude was so key, because all of our fears and anxiousness is really a part of us feels we're not supported. We don't have what we need. And gratitude helps us to put attention on what do we have. So that sense of havingness is a truth. And we often are not looking at what we have, we look at what we don't have. And so it's an exercise of constantly coming back to, and what do I have?
Right, and when I heard this, I immediately thought of you, and I thought of how do we bring that to our understanding of money and wealth, right? Because so often we're focusing on the negative self-talk that we're giving ourselves, right?
It's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough.
Exactly.
And they have more, and they have more, and what do they have?
That comparison, downward spiral. And so when we're in that, it's just so hard to move out of it, right? And so much of my work is helping people recognize the emotions of it. And I love this simple technique because it really brings a gentle sense of awareness to it without judging it.
Right, it's just give room for that part of you to speak, and then give room for the other part of you, which is a bit wiser. It says, and what is it that I need? There's a story I love about this. It's an old story from a long time ago of a family that wanted, a couple that wanted to get married, but they're very poor, and they had no money. It was in Russia. But the man on the hill, this is where Scrooge comes from, had all this money, but was never giving it to anybody. So they were very poor and they were very rich. So the rabbi said, why don't you go and ask him for help? Just ask. And so they went and asked, and he gave him a quarter, and they threw the quarter down and thought, this will not help at all. And they told the rabbi, he says, well, go back, I'll show you what to do. And he says, oh, we made a mistake. We'd love to have the quarter. It could buy some flowers. And but thank you so much. And he says, well, you know, I got $1 here. And oh my gosh, with that we can buy some wine. That'll be so wonderful. Thank you so much. And well, you know, I got $50 here. You can get the whole hoopah. You can get this and this and this. And oh my gosh, we'd love you to have to be our honored guest. He says, okay, I'm going to pay for the whole thing. It's gratitude. The universe responds to gratitude. People respond to gratitude. Flowers, plants, everything. If we appreciate what's there, that's what appreciation means, is to bring forth greater value. And so when we appreciate ourselves, we appreciate others. And quite often, if we can't appreciate others in their imperfections, then we demand perfection of ourselves. And again, we have to be okay with ourselves. Nobody's perfect. We're all moving along one step at a time.
Right. And when I feel like when we do demand perfection from ourselves, it's such an unattainable standard that we're always unfulfilled. And we never really appreciate what you're just talking about, to allow ourselves to be filled up by the gratitude we have for ourselves, for others, and then ultimately that value that you're discussing never really happens either.
And women have an inherent, it's a paradox, because women are often the hardest on themselves, but women also have the potential to see the good in everything. Because this is as the mother can see the potential in the child. And sometimes we just need to give ourselves a hug and say, I love you, it's okay, and talk to yourself the way you would want a mother to talk to you. And give yourself that encouragement.
If only we were as gentle.
That's right. We need to realize, okay, if it was your child going through this, what would you say to them? And give them the love. Give yourself the love that you want to give to a child.
And most of our viewers are likely women, but do you find that it's different then between women and men in relating to this?
Oh, don't get me started.
Wait a second,
I've written 20 books on how men and women are different.
I know. Well, when it comes to, I guess, money, you know, their approach to success, to gratitude.
Well, no, we can certainly go there. Women, their brain the emotional part of their brain is twice as big. Under moderate stress, women have 8 times more blood flow going to that part of the brain. So a woman's first reaction when there's taking risk is going to be she'll feel the fear. The difference is for men don't necessarily feel the fear. They have higher levels of testosterone, 30 times more. What testosterone does is it pushes emotions away. So under moderate stress, men have literally no emotion. So they're not having to deal with it. Under bigger stresses, then men have emotion. But for women under little stresses, they feel the emotion. And just understanding that one little difference, there's many differences, but that one helps you have a perspective, because in the workplace, because women's brains will take into consideration more of the consequences of what they're doing. If you're driving fast, for example, I'm driving fast, I might probably just not wanting to get a ticket. But if my wife was in the car, she's thinking about what would happen to the family.
I'm probably like 5 steps ahead.
That's exactly right. Exactly. And this is very common for women. Not that men can't have some of that, but women automatically have way more of that. You can see it in the brain. It's way more active. She's going to look at consequences much more. So that gives rise to an immediate fear reaction. You won't see that fear reaction in a man, so quite often you feel like, gee, I guess he knows more than me, and he doesn't. He knows less. But see, if you're comparing yourself to men who don't seem to be bothered by things, you think, oh, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with me. That's a very important skill to access my intuition. And so by being able to explore fears, and for women, particularly being able to articulate what I'm afraid of and then what I'm grateful for, is to give voice to those emotions. And when you give voice to those emotions, the hormone oxytocin is produced, and that lowers a woman's anxiety, and the stress response stops.
Right,
That's
like
why
it's literally in our body to be able to do that, but we have to be able to activate that oxytocin to allow ourselves
and
to go
articulating what you feel and what you think is a big part of that. You can do it through writing, you can do it through sharing with a friend, you can also do it in meditation.
So if we were to give everybody one action step from today, what would you say? Gratitude journal?
Gratitude journal, Oprah's favorite technique, which is great. But what you could add to that, if you want, which you would just go down to, although this is counterintuitive, and you don't do it every day, but if you find yourself feeling anxious, then you just write out what I'm afraid of, what I'm afraid of, what I'm afraid of. You're not going to share it with anybody, because a lot of these things are silly, you know. I mean, it's like irrational stuff. I'm afraid of, ultimately, we're all afraid we're not good enough, we won't succeed, we'll fail, we'll be rejected, we'll be left alone. But you kind of go, well, why would you think that, you know? So you give yourself room to that little part of you to articulate the words.
Okay, so write
So
that
that's
down,
on one
step
side, and then on the other column, just what I'm grateful for, what I'm grateful for. And let's say I'm afraid I'll fail. I'm grateful I've had so many successes. Just to see, I'm grateful I have support in my life, and just to keep balancing it. And its balance is where the answer comes. And then your soul.
Does it have to be one for one, or it can be?
It doesn't have to be. It's really getting the list of the fears here, and then going down the gratitudes. But sometimes that will, you know, if it's I'm afraid I won't do a good job on this talk. The gratitude there might be, I'm so grateful I have this opportunity to give this talk. I'm so grateful people have believed in me. And then you might even go back to your past. I'm grateful for my mother who believed in me. I'm grateful to my dad who worked very hard. You know, it can go.
You might get me choked up here.
You know, I'm grateful for my body. My heart is still beating. You know, when I people that are sick, I always go, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm healthy. You know, I'm so glad I have access to information and knowledge to keep me healthy. You know, it takes knowledge to stay healthy.
Agreed. And you're an amazing resource for that as well. And so thank you so much for sharing all of that. It's just such a gift. You're such a gift in the world, and I'm so glad that everyone can get to participate in this little impromptu interview that we took on. I was really enjoying the wisdom from John. I wanted to have a chance to share you with our 10,000 plus people. So thank you for that.
I'm really grateful for that. And
important.
When we come to money, okay, you know, it's a new insight from science is this idea of mirror neurons.
Okay.
And if you're feeling afraid, then immediately I feel afraid. Now fear gives rise to mistrust. So everything in terms of success is about trust. You have to trust in yourself, and you have to have other people trust in you. And so when you don't have that trust, so if you're around people who are afraid, then you start to become afraid. Or if you come from the place of fear, then people don't trust you.
Right.
And we all need that confirmation. So really overcoming fear is a big part of money success.
That's the foundation of my work, Sean. So I'm glad we're aligned on that.
Very big part.
Thank you. And that's why I feel like this whole discussion of fear, right? To really be able to work through our financial fear so that they stop holding us back. Because I don't feel like people give enough credence to that, right? They don't acknowledge it. And it's happening all the time. And it was even, to come full circle, when to hear you say, you know, before I go up on stage, sometimes I'll think these things.
Oh my gosh, I used to have it all the time. So when it comes to fear, we have to look at the psychological side of it, but we also have to look at the biological side of it. And one of the ways that reduce anxiety and stress in the body is regular exercise. It's very important that we all exercise. 30 minutes of exercise could be going for a walk for 30 minutes, but breathing fresh air, going out in nature. We need to do it to recharge ourselves, to actually give ourselves the support we need. We also need good foods. In many cases, if that's not enough, then what we have to look at is certain supplements. And the most powerful supplement I found for women, blows them away, is it stops this condition I call looping in the brain. You get on a thought and it just keeps looping and looping and looping. You can't get off of it. That is a nutritional deficiency of a mineral called lithium. Now, this is not the lithium carbonate, which is prescribed by doctors. It's over the counter. It's only $11 for a 2-month supply. It's one of the cheapest supplements. You won't find it in health food stores. You can find it online. Lithium orotate. And you just take a little two little capsules whenever you're feeling stressed, and your mind stops looping, and then you can do all this work more effectively. It doesn't do it for you, but it helps the work do it for you. Because all this overcoming anxiety and stress is an inside job.
That is just fantastic. And John, how can we get more information about you and from you?
Well, you can certainly learn more about, my psychological suggestions, my nutritional suggestions at marsvenus.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much today, John.
Thank you.
This is Belinda Rosenblum with ownyourmoney.com.